Are you ready, kids? Aye, Captain. That's what you'll say if you know which cartoon we're about to talk about. In case you didn't know, fans of the yellow SpongeBob will soon be able to celebrate the 19th anniversary of their favorite cartoon. Can you imagine how old the main characters are turning? Ha! Well, actually, no. In fact, SpongeBob is already over 30. But we won't spoil any interesting facts in the introduction, so we suggest you watch this video, where you'll learn things you probably didn't know.
All right, everyone. Are you all truly ready, kids? I can't hear you. Let's get started right now.
SpongeBob's name. Have you noticed that in the show, everyone always calls SpongeBob by his full name, SpongeBob, and not just Bob? For example, Patrick is called Patrick or Squidward. Well, you get the idea. We found this very strange, so an expedition into the depths of Google was immediately launched. Despite our fear of the term dangerous searches, we managed to discover the following. It turns out that when creating the character, Steven Hillenburg, the father of the entire series, was worried that his little sponge on legs would be mistaken for a square piece of cheese or even a cheese man. In fact, these concerns are quite reasonable. Look at SpongeBob and tell me honestly, doesn't he remind you of that very cheese? Yeah, now try to unsee it. Not so easy, right? The character's ages. In one of the episodes, when SpongeBob finally gets his driver's license, you can spot the cherished card on the screen, and it has some information on it. For example, that he has yellow hair, blue eyes, weighs a little over 28 grams, and his date of birth is July 14th, 1986. Wait, does that mean he's turning 32 this year? By the way, it looks like the cheerful sponge was born on one of France's main holidays, Bastille Day, although it's unlikely that the creator put any special hidden meaning into the date. And while you're picturing Kada, here are a couple more dates from different sources. Mr. Krabs was born on November 30th, 1942, which means he just turned 75. Squidward's date of birth is October 9th, 1977, and Patrick's is July 19th, 1984. So they are 40 and 33 years old, respectively. However, there's really no point in looking for logic in the show's dates. See for yourself. At the time of the official premiere in 1999, SpongeBob was 13 years old. That's a bit young to be working, but let's assume that the underwater world has its own employment rules. But in 2004, when the full-length animated film SpongeBob SquarePants was released, it was stated that SpongeBob had received 374 Employee of the Month awards at the Krusty Krab. If you divide 374 awards by 12 months, you get 31 years of service. See? There's no logic here, only Krabby Patties. My leg. There's a character who isn't so easy to notice, but who plays a truly important role. There are moments when he is not even visible on the screen at all, and it is only faintly in the distant background noise that you can clearly hear him crying out. My leg. My leg. Oh, my leg. This mysterious hero appears in moments of complete chaos, and as they say, sets the tone for the whole room. In most episodes, he looks like a greenish-brown fish who wears pants with a belt and buckle, but sometimes he changes color to purple, or for example, blue. And what a surprise! This fish is not just a background actor with his signature catchphrase. In one of the episodes, it turns out that the character's name is Fred, and by the way, he even has a son. By the way, you can also spot this, hero with the leg in that famous scene with the unpleasant smell, which became a meme all over the internet. What, you haven't seen it? Too bad. Sponges and mops? A long time ago, when SpongeBob was just being created and no one could have imagined that it would become, Hillenburg decided that the character would be called SpongeBoy. This fit well with the creator's desire to avoid any association with cheese. Plus, it sounded funny, so the Nickelodeon executives had no objections either. But then harsh reality intervened, namely copyright law. It turned out that this name was already being used for a cleaning product, or according to another version, for mops. But Hillenburg wasn't about to stray too far from his idea, so the character became SpongeBob. And as for the SquarePants as a surname, the character got them because they were square-shaped and sounded nice. By the way, SpongeBob also has a full name. His name isn't just anything, it's Robert Harold SquarePants. So just live with it. The Krusty Krab. Of course, you all know about this wonderful underwater eatery that diligently feeds its customers. And its owner, Mr. Krabs, never forgets to squeeze as much money as possible out of the hungry fish. But right now, we're not going to talk about the restaurant's profits or its owner's greed. Have you ever lobsters? We don't, and we never would have thought about it if it weren't for this video. So, what's our point here? Here's a lobster trap, and here's the Krusty Krab. And once again, a lobster trap and the Krusty Krab. Do you see what's going on here? We certainly don't wish anything bad on the characters, but it really seems like Mr. Krabs' restaurant looks a lot like that very trap. After that, some strange thoughts start creeping in about the ingredients of the Krabby Patty. And really, why is its recipe such a big secret? In short, we're not hinting at anything, but judge for yourself. Family ties. As you probably know, Patrick is the most amazing and unpredictable character in the whole series. It turns out this funny goofball is hiding quite a few secrets, including his family lineage. If you look carefully, you can find an image of Patrick's geological family tree online, which is interesting in itself with all sorts of ancient kings and princes. But what's even cooler is that Patrick's cousin is SpongeBob's sea pet. We're not joking. Here they are, cousins. Admit it, that sounds just insanely weird. But seriously, are you really looking for logic in a cartoon about a talking sponge? Come on! Here, a snail can drive a boatmobile and Plankton is married to a computer. Voice actors. Since we're talking about Plankton and his electronic wife, it's the perfect time to mention another interesting fact related to the living computer. The talented actress who provides the voice for Karen the computer is named Jill Talley, and she is absolutely fantastic in the role. Interestingly, the actor who voices SpongeBob SquarePants himself is named Thomas Kenny, and he is a truly wonderful person. What many fans might not realize is that Jill and Tom are actually married in real life, and they have both contributed so much incredible work to the world of animation over the years. Guess what connects these two? No, it's not just a love for the cartoon series, although that probably played a part too. In fact, Jill and Thomas have been married since 1995. That means they got married. The viewer watched an episode about the adventures of the yellow sponge. Today, the couple is raising 2 children, and for some reason, we really want to ask, does poor Plankton know squids and octopuses? And now it's time to reveal the most terrifying secret to you. Look, this is a squid, and this is a squid, and so is this one. And this is Squidward, the main grump of Bikini Bottom, but he's not a squid. Calm down, we understand it's not easy to accept such a fact, but it's the absolute truth. Squidward himself, it seems, enjoys confusing the viewers. In some episodes he says he's an octopus, in others a squid. And once, the character even called himself a lobster. But you can't argue with the show's creators. According to them, Squidward is a real squid, though he has 6 tentacles instead of 8. Yes, his arms count too. What did you expect? The lack of tentacles is explained by the animators wanting to make their job easier. That's a pretty understandable desire after all. We won't judge them for it. It's much more interesting to hear the opinion that with 8 tentacles, Squidward looks way too tough. Seriously, creators? A couple of extra tentacles and he'll turn into a kraken. Radiation. Surely you've noticed more than once that what's happening in the SpongeBob cartoon series is, let's say, a little crazy, or maybe not just a little. That's for you to decide. But all of this, yes, everything, including fire underwater, puddles on the ocean floor, and the ability to listen to music with your eyes, has a perfectly logical, yet at the same time very frightening explanation. The city where most of the show's characters live is called Bikini Bottom, and it's located on Bikini Atoll. An atoll is a type of coral island, or several small islands, that together form a semicircle with a lagoon in the center. And there would be nothing unusual about that. After all, there are plenty of such islands around the world, if it weren't for the fact that this particular place was used for nuclear and hydrogen bomb tests in the middle of the last century. Yes, the radiation on this island should break any Geiger counter. As a result of the explosions, many local residents related diseases. And what about sea creatures? Well, now they can fry patties right underwater, water flowers, and wear pants. A strange bonus. Goofs in the cartoon. Looking for goofs in SpongeBob cartoons is a completely thankless task because there aren't any. You heard that right, not a single goof. But there is a signature drawing style where much more attention is paid to the characters and the overall craziness than to matching the wide shot with the close-up. Something is always disappearing in the frame. I mean, all the time. See for yourself. Here there's a ship and a bottle on the table and now it's gone. Whoosh! Right in front of SpongeBob, there's a bottle of bubble solution, and a second later, it's gone too. Sometimes it's the other way around, and suddenly 2 extra bottles of sauce appear next to the Krabby Patty ingredients. And Plankton can also change his size. Here he's sticking out of a glass, and then he shrinks down to the size of a tiny bug. And all of this is just the unique style of the cartoon. You don't even need to blame the animators for being careless, because they do everything right. So what if the cucumbers disappeared from the shot? At least everyone definitely had fun. And what cartoon secrets do you know, friends? Or maybe you know the secret Krabby Patty recipe. Just shh, don't tell Plankton. It's better to share your stories in the comments and don't forget to leave a like.